What if I told you there's a guy in the NBA who averaged just 3.9 points per game, didn't take a single three, and bricked more than half his free throws? In today's league, where every center is either a stretch five or trying to be, you'd probably laugh and say, yeah, no chance that guy matters. And normally, you'd be right. But Steven Adams, he's not normal. Because in a league obsessed with spacing, finesse, and highlight reels, Adams is out here reminding everybody that basketball still rewards brute force, timing, and doing the dirty work.
Well, they gave this guy 18 minutes a game over the last 6 games, 11 points and 5 rebounds.
And Adams punches it home on the top of Seraphin.
That's why at 32 years old, he just landed a 3-year, $39 million extension with Houston. Imagine that. Nearly $40 million for a guy who scores fewer points than most backup guards. How is that even possible? Let's break it down. Before we start, here's the truth. 9 out of 10 of you are watching without subscribing. If you love basketball, why not fix that right now? Join the NBA Inside family and let's go through the whole season side by side. Adams doesn't dominate with skill moves. He's not crossing anyone up. He's not stretching the floor. And he sure as hell isn't pulling up for threes. What he does instead is maybe even more valuable. He grabs every single rebound in sight. And I'm not exaggerating. His offensive rebounding numbers last year weren't just good, they were literally historic. For 36 minutes, he posted the best offensive rebounding season ever recorded. Not top 5, not top 3, the best. Now, here's the thing about Adams. He's not flying around like a pogo stick. He's not the fastest guy. But he is, without question, the strongest dude in the league. We're talking cartoon strong. Like if you created an NBA player in 2K and slid the strength bar all the way up, you'd basically end up with Steven Adams.
Early in the game, you really control the board. Is that something that just comes naturally in a game like this, or?
Yeah, I'm a big bastard, mate. You assume so, eh? Yeah, don't expect one of these little dudes to control the boards, eh?
Watch him box out against Jonathan Kuminga, a 6'7", 225-pound athlete built like a linebacker. Adams just casually moves him out of the way like he's rearranging furniture. And that's Kuminga we're talking about, a guy who would make most of us look like children in comparison. Adams does that without breaking a sweat. And it's not just smaller wings. Against legit bigs, he still wins, because his real gift is what happens before the ball even comes off the rim. He positions himself perfectly, clears out his man, and makes sure he's already in the driver's seat when the rebound drops. It's like watching someone cheat the system. Guys can jump higher, sure, but they can't jump if Adams has already shoved them 2 feet out of the play. That's why 8 of the last 9 seasons he's played, his teams have finished first in the entire NBA in offensive rebounding. Think about that. Not top 3, not top 5, literally number 1. Almost every single time. That doesn't happen by accident. And here's the funny part. If you asked Adams about it, he'd probably shrug and say something like, just trying to get the ball, mate.
He would downplay it so hard, too, like, if you asked him. What his response, I'm just thinking of, like, what he would say. Like, he would be like, mate, it's just...
Trying to get the ball, mate.
Yeah, a little bit of work.
It's just basketball, mate.
Yeah.
That's the Kiwi in him. Downplay everything. But his teammates, they'll tell you the truth. Jaren Jackson Jr. once explained how Adams literally stands under the hoop before games studying the way missed shots bounce, like a scientist tracking angles.
And yet, if you ever go out, when you guys are like warming up, he's standing under the goal watching the angles.
Yeah.
Watching how the misses come.
I see him.
You can clearly tell what he's doing.
Yeah, he's locked in.
That's Rodman level preparation right there. So yeah, Adams doesn't look like he's out there calculating physics, but make no mistake, he is. Now, you might think, okay, he rebounds, but what else? Good question, because if you've ever watched Houston play, you'll notice Adams making an impact even when he never touches the ball. His screens, brutal. The kind that free up a guard for a wide open drive or a clean pull-up 3. That's value you can't measure with a box score. Watch Jalen Green come off of one of Adams' picks. Suddenly, the defender is 2 steps behind. The big has to rotate and the weak side wing is scrambling, all because one giant man decided to plant his feet and not move. That's what Adams does. He doesn't need to score. His job is to tilt the chessboard so his teammates have easier moves to play. And guess what? It works. On-off stats prove it. When Adams is on the floor, his teams rebound 19% better. That's not just a number. That's possession after possession turning into extra shots, demoralizing the opponent and slowly grinding them down. In the playoffs, that edge got even bigger. You can't teach that. You either have someone like Adams or you don't. And that's why Houston had no problem cutting him a fat extension. They know it's not glamorous. He's never gonna lead SportsCenter highlights. But try winning a playoff series without extra possessions, without toughness, without a guy willing to do all the little things that stars don't want to do. You can't. The best part, Adams does all of this with that dry Kiwi sense of humor. He'll dominate an all-NBA forward on the glass, then give the most nonchalant post-game quote imaginable. No chest-pounding, no "I'm him" moment. Just a shrug and a laugh. In a league that's all about image and flash, Steven Adams is the anti-star. Maybe that's exactly why every team he joins gets better. So yeah, you can clown the free throws, you can point out the scoring, but when you watch Houston next year and wonder why they're getting 15 more shot attempts than their opponent, remember the guy with the ponytail down low doing all the grunt work. Steven Adams doesn't fit the mold of a modern NBA center, but sometimes you don't need to fit the mold to break the game. And that's just the surface. Think about the teams he's been part of. In Oklahoma City, he was the rock next to Russell Westbrook during that triple-double frenzy. Westbrook has even said Adams was the reason he could go full chaos mode every night, because he knew Big Kiwi would be behind him cleaning up the mess. In Memphis, he became the uncle of that young core. Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., they all swear by the way Adams set the tone for them. Not just with his play, but with his personality. He kept things light, kept them grounded, and yeah, occasionally protected them when things got chippy. And now in Houston, it's the same thing. You got a roster full of young, flashy guards and wings trying to make a name for themselves. You think they're going to complain about Adams only scoring 4 points? No chance. They love him because he gives them second chances, protects them physically, and eats up all the grunt work nobody else wants. Want proof? Go back and look at the Rockets rebounding before Adams returned. Middle of the pack, nothing special. After Adams, boom. Suddenly they're a top 5 rebounding team again. That's not a coincidence. That's one guy bending the math of basketball in his team's favor. And here's something people overlook: his durability. Sure, he missed the 2023-24 season with that knee injury, but across his career, Adams has been one of the toughest players in the league. He plays through stuff other guys wouldn't even warm up with. He once famously said he doesn't ice after games because, in his words, "I'm from New Zealand, mate. The cold doesn't bother me." That's peak Adams right there. It's also worth asking, how many players in NBA history have made this kind of impact without scoring? Like, genuinely, name me another guy who averaged under 5 points and still got a $40 million deal. You can't. Adams is a unicorn, just not the flashy kind. He's a unicorn in that he makes the game bend toward his style of play in an era that shouldn't even allow it. And while everybody else is chasing shooting bigs, Houston leaned in and said, "Nah, we'll pay for rebounds, screens, and muscle." That's kinda hilarious, but also kinda genius. If you're an opposing fan, Adams is the guy you hate to see on the other team. Not because he's gonna drop 30, but because he's gonna make your big man's life miserable for 30 minutes. He's gonna rack up 5 offensive boards, set 10 bone-crushing screens, and walk off with a plus 12 in the box score despite finishing with a 2 of 6 shooting. And you'll sit there asking, wait, how do we just lose that game? It's because of him. And the truth is, as long as Adams is healthy, Houston will always have that hidden advantage. In a conference loaded with superstar talent, sometimes the difference isn't your best player. It's your role guy who just does his job better than anybody else. That's Steven Adams in a nutshell. So next time you're watching the Rockets and see a wild scramble under the rim, take a second and check who comes out with the ball. Odds are it's Adams. And odds are he'll jog back down the floor like nothing happened, while his teammates celebrate the bucket he just created. He doesn't need the spotlight. He never has. But make no mistake, he changes the game. And honestly, that might be the most valuable thing of all. So here's the real question. Is Steven Adams underrated, or is he just perfectly rated by the people who actually play against him? Because if you ask NBA players, they'll tell you, nobody wants to battle that dude for 48 minutes. Nobody.